Hi, Jamie. I have your file in front of me, and this is a simple fix. I just have to have you adopt a very simple philosophy, okay? And let me just go through it. Why it's happening is because in your thigh, and I duplicated it and moved it over so I could show you, and I know that you want to cut it. You want to cut this shape right there where I'm clicking and somewhere right in there where I'm clicking, right? You want to cut that, which is fine. But, and here's the but, in your thigh that you did, let me move over. In your thigh that you did here, you have a bunch of clipping paths. Okay, that's great, which means you, and I'm going to go into your, I'm going to go into the one I copied right here, okay? The clipping path wants to be just that. It doesn't want to be the fill. You made the clipping path be the fill, and that's not the way it should be, okay? Not the way it should be. So what I want to show you is the clipping path wants to be no fill, no stroke, okay? So what you need to do is to duplicate the clipping path. So this is what I'm going to do. Well, first I'm just going to make sure that I have the colors down pat here. Okay, so I'm taking the colors right here. Your clipping path is that dark blue over here with a black stroke. Okay, no problem. Let's take both of those away. Let's take the fill away and the stroke away. Good. There is your solution. Now, all you've got to do, and listen to my words, is duplicate the clipping path twice. Once, it's going to go to the bottom of everything and be the fill only. So your clipping path is fine, but you can't use it for the clipping path, the fill, and the stroke. You need 3 separate things. Yes, 3. So the clipping path moved to the bottom and a fill only of dark blue is the first solution. The second solution is, again, duplicate the clipping path, have it be the stroke only, and have it be above the clipping path. And then you can cut and do anything you want to do to it. So that you just tried to do all 3 things in one. So each shape should be a fill on the bottom with no stroke. And if you have a clipping path that you need to clip things on, fine. You can use a no fill, no stroke clipping path to do that. But then on the top, your stroke just wants to be a stroke with no fill. Now, let me execute that and show you what I'm talking about. And I may not cut it exactly where you want me to cut it or where the little joints are, but I'm sure you can get the feel of what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to take the clipping path and duplicate it. I'm now going to move it out of the thigh, like this, out of the thigh, so it's just a path. Now I'm going to even label it as stroke only, just so you get the fact that it's a stroke only. Okay, cool. And I'm going to do that in a minute. I'll actually add the black stroke to it so you can see what I'm talking about after I make the fill and I lock everything up. That's the important thing. Now, let's duplicate the stroke only. And let's call it a fill only and move it to the bottom. So this is a fill only. Just so you get the fact that there's 3 items here. Now let's move it to the bottom. Okay, look at how I put it on the bottom of your clipping path, which I'm not going to lock it because I'll lock the whole thigh in a second. Okay, so I'm going to take the fill, I'm going to click the fill in the tools, and I'm going to click that dark. Now there's your solution. Now, you need the top to be a stroke only, and you need to get rid of it where the joints are. I get it. I'll make a point here I know where to cut it. I just want to have you understand where I'm cutting it. So I'm going to go like this, and look, I'm going to turn off the thigh. Now I'm going to click on the stroke that I made right here and just add the black stroke to it. Okay, that's all I'm going to add. And I don't remember your thickness. But now look, you take the C key, you find your little points here. Let me change the color of this so you can see what I'm talking about. Whoops, that was not what I wanted to do. Let me go into the upper one. Okay, leg. Okay, what you've done is you have created groups inside your line art single layer, which is fine. I'm just going to change the color of the, just so you can see it a little better, I hope. Okay, can you see that point now? Now I'm taking the C key and I'm cutting right there, and I'll cut right here. Then I'll take that upper part with the A key, the direct select, and I'll delete twice. Okay, see how there's no fill to cause that little white line that you talked about? Okay, and that white line, I'll explain it in a minute. Okay, so now I'm going to take the C key and I'm going to cut here because you don't need that one, and I'll cut on one of these points. There's 2 points there. I'll cut on this one. Okay, now if and you know what? Let me add a fill and show you what happened right there. Now, what happens here is, let me click on all of this and add a temporary fill to it. Okay, probably didn't add the right one. And let me go over here and, no, okay, I got rid of that part. I can't show you what I'm trying to show you. Let me Command or Control Z back until it goes back to this. Okay, I'm going to fill it with a color. I don't know what color. Let me just back off on the whole thing and fill it with a color. Your dark blue is fine, but let me fill it with a color that maybe we can see the line with, okay? And the stroke. So I've cut it here, and I'm going to cut it with the C key right there again. Just, whoops, I need to move in close. Let me see if I can cut that. Okay, that should cut right there. Okay, it's probably already cut is the whole point. Yes, it's already cut. See, now there is the white line you're talking about, but Illustrator sometimes moves the points just a fraction of that much right there, and what do you get right there? You get a little white line that you think is a white stroke, but it's not. Okay, and that's what I wanted to show you, where your little line is. Do you see that tiny, tiny little line that's right there now? Okay, that's just because I have a fill on the thing that should only be a stroke. Do you get it? Because this is the stroke of your shape. So I'm going to, in a second, I'll do it right now, but I'm going to remove the fill from all of this. So I selected it all. I'm sorry that it's taking so long. And now I can go here, like I said before. Let me take the C key. It's probably not cut down here. I Command or Control Z back to a point where if it did have a fill, I would cause the same problem that you were having. Okay, so now look at how I'm going to delete that out. Look at how there is no fill to cause that little white line, and I delete that out. Now, let me explain what we have. I'm going to move that right into your thigh. So here's your thigh. Let me make sure. No, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, let me close that thigh. And let me go into this one that I made over here. Again, I'm sorry that I'm taking so much time to do this. Okay, I'm going to close that one over there. All right, so that path that I made, I have to find it now. Did I put it in here? Sorry, let me just turn off that thigh and find that path. That's all. I just want to show you the proper way. Okay, stroke only, stroke only. Okay, I found, since it's 2 separate strokes now, I can show you what I'm talking about, if I don't drive you nuts. Okay, now, this stroke here and this stroke here are the character lines that you needed. But if I do the same thing over here, I'm going to do it over here on this side. Okay, let me turn off. I'm so sorry this is taking so long, but this is something I just wanted you to understand from the very beginning. Okay, now let me turn on that other thigh, which is where your artwork is, and it's a little hard to see everything because you know, the blue is so dark, the black is dark. So I'm going to throw away that other thigh. Okay, now here is the process. okay? I'll do it again, and you can stop this if you totally understand. Let me just get rid of that and just make it a little higher. Okay, so here's my explanation again. You have a clipping path that's a fill and a stroke. All it wants to be is a clipping path with no fill, no stroke. So I need to duplicate it twice. Once, I'm going to take the first one and move it out of the thigh for a temporary thing so it just gets to be a path, okay? And I'll call this again, just so I keep my head straight, I'm going to call this stroke only. And I'm going to remove the fill and lock it. So here's the fill not there. And I'm going to lock it. Well, I won't lock it till I duplicate it. Now I'm going to call the bottom one the fill only. Now that one moves to the bottom. Whoops, I have the word only in there twice. Okay, now, must be early. Okay, now I get to select the actual clipping path. Look over here, take away the fill and take away the stroke. Doesn't want either. Okay, now I am gonna get rid of the character line on the stroke only up here in a minute after I lock everything up, which is something I said before too. So now look, and I don't want to lock up the clipping path because I don't want anything locked for the moment. Okay, that fill only goes inside the clipping path and goes all the way to the bottom and is the fill. Look at how I'm clicking it. Whoops, I need to just go like that. So now I have the fill with no stroke underneath the clipping path, which is no fill, no stroke, with a copy of the clipping path for the stroke only. Now I can actually lock up the thigh, go to the stroke only, okay, which eventually I can move it to the top of that above the clipping path. Now let's zoom in and you can see where I want to cut this. So I take the C key and I cut. I take the C key and I cut wherever you want to cut, okay? And now let's go here and cut. I'll cut on this top one, okay? And then I'll delete what I don't want. And then I'll cut on the bottom one. It makes more sense to cut on that bottom one. Now, let me select the bottom, which is, I'm gonna select it and move it. See how it's a stroke only? There is no fill to ruin. Okay, now let's go over here and take the top of that, which you don't need, right? They don't need that much right there, and delete twice. And now you have your solution. Now, that stroke should match up. See how nicely it matches up to everything else, and you may have to move a couple things to make it exactly right, you know, but that is the solution. So now there is no fill to ruin. Okay, I know that was a lot to explain, but if you get into the rhythm of doing it for every shape, it's not a bad thing. Now, we have two stroke onlys because I cut one path into two shapes, and if I open up that thigh, I can actually take both of those, I hope, and just move them to the top, but not inside the clipping path. Now, there is your stroke only, there is your fill only, which were both copies of the clipping path, which now has no fill, no stroke. Okay? That's the solution. Let me know if I drove you crazy.